Yo, what's happening, YouTube family? I hope that everybody's doing well out there. In today's video, what I want to talk about is leadership. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this topic is because I've started to redefine what leadership means to me. And I feel like since doing that, it has empowered me in so many ways to improve my self-confidence and how I show up with the people around me and even at work. And I also think that as designers, it may not be clear what leadership really is. It's not clear what leadership is. Just think about, the thought that comes to you when you think of a design leader. What do they do? What does a good design leader do? What does a good leader do in life? Right? I started to ask myself these same questions because, I'm somebody who's trying to improve my career at this point, trying to become a leader, but I'm also seeing that the way that I show up affects my family, right? And my daughter started copying me, on my cuss words and, my habits. And I'm like, yo, I'm leading my family and I want to make sure that I'm leading them in the right direction. So what does that mean to be a leader? And what does it mean to be a good leader? Right? And what I also started to understand is that by not giving myself the permission to lead, I might be denying myself of inspiring the people that I'm supposed to inspire. I might be denying myself of the impact that I want to create. I might be denying myself of the beautiful relationship that can spark something within me. I might be denying myself of more financial opportunities. I might be denying myself of having a deeper self-understanding of myself, right? And I think this kind of plays into different aspects of our life outside of the professional world, right? So in this video, what I want to talk about are 5 qualities that I think good leaders instill in themselves or things that they practice, right? And where did I get this information? I've been reading a ton of books over the past 8 or 9 months. I've developed mentors for myself who don't necessarily work in design, right? They work in the fields of communications or the arts. And I've also started to practice the things that they tell me based off the situations that I'm going through in life, right? So I'll talk about that, but before I get into it, I think one other thing that has been privy to me or that really redefined what leadership means to me is that I don't think that you necessarily only have to have a job or get paid the most money in order to be a leader. I see that my wife is leading our family because she's taking care of our son who has a heart condition. And doctors are telling her like, yo, how is your son developing so well, right? But it's because of the way that she's leading our family. My son, who's got a heart condition, is also inspiring everybody around him, and he's made us closer together because we see how much he's thriving after going through so much trauma, right? So I don't necessarily think, in my opinion, that you need to be making top dollar in order to be considered a leader. You don't need the title, right? You do not need the title of a director or a VP in order to be somebody who leads, right? You can do that through your actions. Right? So I'm not trying to preach here, but let me get into the qualities that I think a good leader practices in their life. I think first of all, a good leader is somebody who listens and empathizes with the people that they lead. Right? And the reason I think this is because every good leader that I've talked to, they may not necessarily understand what it means, to have a son with a heart condition, but I see that they listen and empathize with my situation, right? And they make my emotions feel validated, right? And that is a very hard thing to do, because I think most people, when they listen to somebody, the first thing that they want to do is respond, right? And I think a good leader is somebody who recognizes what a person is going through, and they are able to validate their emotions, because that person maybe not are probably not validating themselves in that moment, right? So I think that that's really important. And the second trait that I think a good leader has is that they are able to give clarity. I've worked with some leaders who are very good at this, and I've worked with some leaders who can do a little bit better. But I think when you're able to give clear direction to somebody and clear guidance, if say for instance somebody's trying to build out a career plan for themselves, and you're able to as a leader, you're able to give them a plan to execute on, then you are empowering that person because of the clarity that you were able to give, right? And so I think that that's something that you can practice, and it's not something that just comes overnight, because that's hard, right? It's hard to give clarity, because we may not be clear ourselves, but that takes some practice. The third trait that I think a good leader has is that they're able to build a vision, right? Somebody like Martin Luther King was growing up and living through times where people didn't necessarily believe in his dream, right? But he was able to help people have the faith to build that dream out, and that is a fight that still continues to this day, right? He's not here, but since then there have been millions of people who are still fighting for the dream that he had, because they believed in that mission, they believed in that vision. The fourth thing I think good leaders are able to do is that they're able to empower people. There are always going to be challenges and bullshit that comes, right, with any kind of vision that is trying to be created. But I think a good leader is somebody who gives permission to people to make mistakes, because the mistakes are a confirmation that you're headed in the right direction. You're actually, choosing to take the path, right? You're choosing to take a stance. You're choosing to walk the walk, right? And I think a good leader is somebody who's able to just empower and encourage people when those challenges come up. The fifth thing I think a good leader practices is that they're able to be an example, right? When people are looking toward a vision, and they don't believe in the change, or they doubt the change, that leader is able to be an example to create the change. It's like the first spark that people see that it's possible, and they're like, oh damn, a person is really standing up and advocating for this thing that I want to see change, right? And that can be inspiring to people because they see that it's possible. And I also think through being an example, this is a story that I heard recently from one of my mentors. He said that he had to lay off one of his team members, and he didn't know that layoffs were coming. He was just told that day, but he works on a team of 15 people, and he had to lay off one of the people that he leads. And he said that he was pissed at the leaders above him because they didn't give him any notice that this was happening. He couldn't prepare to make that announcement. So when he announced to the team that somebody's getting laid off, he felt pissed inside emotionally. But he helped me understand that leaders have to have the emotional intelligence to understand that their emotions will affect the people around them. So if he showed that he was pissed, it was going to get everybody pissed or super emotional, right? So good leaders are able to have that emotional intelligence to read the room and understand that their feelings impact the feelings of those that they lead. And that can be a very hard thing to do. The sixth thing I think a good leader does is that they're able to establish a value system, and they have principles that they live by. And I think through doing that, they're able to build a culture, right? It always starts from the top. And a good leader is somebody who is able to have a value system to live by. And I think from what I've seen, at least, is that people get attracted to that value system. So if you believe in work-life balance, if you believe in putting family first, those are values that people get attracted by, and they want to work with you. They want to collaborate with you, right? Because beautiful minds attract beautiful minds. And the seventh thing that I think a good leader does is that they're able to take accountability, right? They're able to take accountability. That's a very hard thing for many people to do, including myself at certain times, because nobody wants to be wrong, right? And that takes a lot of pride. Well, we put a lot of pride in the decisions that we make, but it takes a lot of self-understanding and letting go of the ego to put that stuff to the side, right? And when you make mistakes, you say, yo, you own it, right? You say like, yo, I made that mistake, but I learned from it, and let's work together to improve from where we are today, right? So I hope that through talking about this, it inspires you to redefine for yourself what leadership means, because like I said, I think that when we deny ourselves of being leaders, we're denying ourselves of our potential, right? So anyways, guys, if this subject, sparked some interest and it changed your mind just a little bit, you already know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.